Awesome, Manny. What's up, man? Nice to have you on the podcast today.
Oh, thanks for having me, bro.
Man, I'm super excited about today. So, welcome to the Journey to Win, everybody. I have Manny Soto on with us today. I'm really excited to interview him. This is a guy who's absolutely crushing it, in my opinion, in every area of his life. And so, I'm really just I'm excited for you guys to get to know who he is, what his vision is, but more importantly, how he's been able to get from where he is, from where he was to where he is today. And so, he's a CEO of the Financial Architects, which is in 49 states, by the way. He's the author of I Can Be Bought, which, by the way, explain that. I Can Be Bought. I'm curious.
No, it's funny, man, because, you and I both have tattoos. So normally a traditional financial advisor or a financial strategist or fiduciary or registered rep, they're known as these like suit and tie types of people. So the book, the front cover of the book has me like this, and the left side of my body is with a tattoo and a watch and stuff, and the right side is with the suit on. So the whole premise of the book was like, hey, anybody can do this, but at the same time, wherever you're at today doesn't mean who you need to turn into. Like you can always mold, mix and mold, etc. So the book was really the title of the book was prefaced because like I own a franchise, so I can be bought. So you buy a franchise, you're going to get some time with me, and we're going to build a business. We're going to make some money. We're going to help some people. So that's really where the base point comes off of. So I can be.
Well, I love that. What's that? Say it again.
I can be bought.
Well, yeah. So okay. But let's talk about it then, because you're a speaker, you're a dad, you got a 25, 23-year-old, 14-year-old daughter, so two boys. You're a franchisor, like you just talked about. So Manny, like talk to me about, because you were in, and tell him your story of how you kind of got into the franchise world, because you were in, from my understanding, you were in WFG. You were working with Ed Milet back in the day, which is an incredible blessing to be able to work with that guy.
Big time.
So maybe you could tell me a little bit about your story of how you got involved in WFG, and then how that morphed into, starting your own company, breaking off and creating your own insurance business.
Yeah, great question. So I mean, just like anybody else, I had a job, and I clocked in. I'd get to my job at 7 a.m. I'd leave at like 3:59. I'd do an hour lunch. I'd gossip about the boss every day. I took a break, and I'd gossip again about the boss. I just did not like my life back then. I remember I was making a little over $70,000 a year on a W-2, and I got written up by my boss because I disagreed with her in a meeting. And I just thought to myself, damn, man, how am I going to feed my then 3-year-old and 5-year-old at that time? How am I going to feed them and shelter them, etc., if I lose my job? Because I used to fire people as well. So it was like, how the law of attraction is always working, but I didn't understand that basic back then. And I kept thinking to myself, damn, man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I wish I had an outlet. And I swear to you, like the next day, my cousin called me, and this is total MLM talk. He goes, hey, man, will you come to this thing tomorrow? And I go, what thing? And he goes, he got diarrhea of the mouth, right? And he goes, this thing, you're my cousin. Will you come down? I go, yeah, I guess, bro. So I meet him at my grandma's house, who lived in Azusa, California at the time. And if anybody that's listening is from California, from Huntington Beach to Azusa is not a short drive. It's an hour plus. So I go from Huntington Beach to Azusa, and this particular type of multi-level marketing, network marketing game, if you will, required a tie. So he goes, bro, you're not wearing a tie. And I was like, dude, where the hell are we going? And he pops open his trunk. He's got like 3 ties that plop open. It was crazy, bro. It was like straight out of a movie. And he like matches the tie up against one of my shirt that I'm wearing, and he puts on the tie. And then I'm like, by this time, dude, we're going from Azusa to now Pomona, which is where I initially met Milet. And during the whole course of the 45 minutes of the drive there, I'm like, bro, what are you going to be doing? Like, let me out of the car right now. And he finally cracks. And he goes, I'm going to be a financial advisor. I'm like, bro, I just let you borrow $200 last week. How are you going to be a financial advisor? Already I was like set up to lose, right? So I get there. Finally, he did one thing right. He did multiple things right, as a matter of fact. He drove. I couldn't leave. And at this time, Uber wasn't out, right? 2003, Uber was not out from my knowledge. And I walk into this meeting, and there's like 100, 120 people. It's packed, bro. And they put a little red name badge on me. They give me a tour of the facility. And I'm like, man, this is a cult. I can't believe I came here. This is ridiculous. Like, I hope this is over soon. And I swear, bro, from the very onset of the meeting, like they broke the floor. I go into this room that probably held like 50 people. And I remember I'm sitting in the third row. The first presenter was Manuel. And back then, 20 years ago, he was as money as it is right now. But he had a tailor-made suit on. He had his initials on his sleeve. I had never seen a tailor-made shirt before. I was like, wow, this guy's money. And he came out just like average, bro. He came out, his little vein popped out here, his vein popped out here. What are you doing to become successful? And one thing really hit me, and I took it like a swan to water, bro. He said, you need to change what you're currently doing to change what you're currently getting. That blew me away, bro. As commonsensical as it is, it blew my doors off. I was like, man, this is awesome. And I started sitting up. I was like, okay, forget the cult stuff. I'm really paying attention, taking notes, right? And the second speaker spoke. He had a double master's degree. He knew a lot about financial planning and money. And then the last speaker just blew me up. His name was Dan Charlier. He was this big 6'4" black dude, used to be a drill instructor. And he floored me with the story. He said, you are becoming your boss. If your next level of promotion is your boss, just consider your lifestyle, what you get paid, what they do currently, you are going to become as that boss. And I started thinking to myself, and I thought, man, he's right. Like, I'm making $70,000, $75,000 a year. My boss is probably making $100,000, $110,000 a year. Her boss is probably making $180,000. And when am I ever going to make $250,000, $500,000, a multiple seven-figure income? I don't have that opportunity. I have a good friend of mine, and I met you through him, Calvin, and he says the true opportunity is having an opportunity, and that is absolute facts, man. So what got me initially out of having a job to being an entrepreneur, my first taste of entrepreneurship was at World Financial Group. And that was pretty much my springboard to financial planning, to entrepreneurship, to not being a hater. I mean, you could put it all bundled up into one box. Like, I left the old box behind, and I had this new fresh box to put whatever I wanted to inside of it. That's what set me free at some point in time.
Man, your first exposure was with Ed Milet. I mean, come on. That's incredible. You're definitely joining. I mean, there's no way you're walking out of that room and saying, I'm out. Like, Ed, come on.
Oh, so, Ed is a killer. Back then, I mean, I remember having his passport or password into the back office. He was making about $50,000 a month then. Now, this is 21 years ago. So kind of imagine to yourself, damn, here's a dude that makes multiple millions of dollars, probably, $200, $300 million net worth type of guy. And
dude, he just bought an island.
Which is crazy. I met him 20 years ago, and I've been on a Learjet with him 6 times. I've been 7 times. I've been to his pad in Arrowhead. I've been to his pad in Coeur d'Alene. I mean, I've been all over the place with the guy just because I went to a meeting that I didn't want to go to with my cousin, and it ultimately changed my life. So that was crazy.
Yeah, but also you went to the meeting and you were still skeptical. And you know, I've always known that the mind's like a parachute only works if it's open. And so you were willing to come into the meeting, at least, you know, because some people once they find out what it is, and he says he's going to be a financial advisor, it would have been very easy for you to say, nah, dude, I'm out, and just allow your skepticism to hold you back. And, you know, my mentors always told me, you're going to have a small mind, you're going to have small pockets, you're going to be a slave to your business or your job for the rest of your life. And so here you are, you know, you made the decision. to go in with somewhat of an open mind. I mean, a little level of skepticism, of course, which I think is always somewhat healthy, especially in today's world. But dude, I relate with you because my first meeting was, and I don't want to say the name because I'm not trying to bash names, but let's just say it's a very old school company. And they did the same thing, man. They brought me in, had everybody in a living room in suit and ties. And I'm like, what is this? I mean, I was still at that time, I was putting students through Hell Week as a buds instructor at first phase, but I was broke, living paycheck to paycheck. And I was like, I need to do something. And this dude cold marketed me, was able to get me to this leadership meeting with this couple that retired, young couple. And they paraded them in, and it was just like way too much for me. And so I was extremely closed off to the industry because I thought that was what all of network marketing was. I thought that's what all of insurance, all of direct sales in general. But then I had a good friend of mine who introduced me to, one of my best friends now, James Bradford. And he was making multiple six figures a month when I met him. And so I remember, do what they do, have what they have. I kept an open mind after I'd been through that journey, just like you. And dude, it changed everything for me. So you are winning because you still had somewhat of an open mind.
Yeah, totally. I mean, in that opportunity too, I don't know if you know this or not, but you can't actually get paid until you're licensed. So imagine getting me in, talking me into going on multiple training appointments, not getting paid for 12. I mean, my first paycheck was almost a year after I got involved in the company. So that's, to keep the organization solid. Milet was just, and he still is, just an incredibly special man in the aspect of not just are you great at sales, not just can you motivate rooms of people, but also have the internal fortitude to get everything together in one operation and then make moves within, because the organization was doing X, but he was within that organization just crushing it. So it was awesome to see.
But Manny, tell me, so how did Ed, or how did that whole system work? Like, you didn't make money for a year, and you're showing up to the meetings. You guys back then, 20 some years ago, you had in-person opportunity meetings that you had to be at. You had in-person training meetings that was probably mandatory. Like, it wasn't just a casual culture. Like in order to win, you have to create a championship culture of showing up. And so how did they get you to continue to show up even though you weren't making money? I've always wondered, because that's something that's very challenging for people.
I still remember Ed at a meeting saying, Woody Allen says that 80% of winning is just showing up. Like, so that's what I did. I mean, I was broke. I was probably 4 flat tires away from being flat out on the street. And I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I have a lot of common sense, right? So if this guy's making X amount of dollars and everyone else telling me that I should quit is making a lot less, then my natural instinct is, well, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. And that was something that I just picked up randomly by just showing up. So we had a Tuesday night op meeting. It took me an hour and a half to get there. Then we had a Saturday morning op meeting. And then when I went full time, it was Monday morning full timers, Tuesday night op meeting, a Saturday morning op meeting, a Saturday afternoon phone zone. Like, the more you show up, the more you're going to get. The more, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I understood that. So when I was just showing up to these meetings, I was learning so much, like a lot more than I did in college. I went to Cal State Fullerton, and this is really my college. The multi-level network marketing aspect of World Financial Group was really my quote unquote college. And I just felt like every single meeting I got sold the dream again and again and again. So when someone stops showing, I know now when their butt's not in a seat, they're losing out on all their goals and dreams. They're just forgetting about it, and they're going back to the norm. And unfortunately, that's what people believe that they're worth. They're not willing to show up, then they're not willing to blow up. So when I would show up to these meetings, Ed always had a very powerful message. And every 3 months or so, he would on purpose have a big event. So we'd have this Pomona office that we're all a part of. And then every time we'd be selling the next event. So every 3 months we'd go to a big event, and it was always larger than life. And they put you up on the pedestal if you're doing great, and they give you a pep talk if you're not doing great. So I really believe that's what kept me coming. And then once I got licensed, because back then in 2003, you need to have a life license, a Series 6 and a Series 63. So you had to be a registered representative to sell one of their flagship products, which was a variable universal life insurance policy, which, I mean, now, I look at some of those policies, man, there were a lot of, unfortunately, sad to say, there were a lot of sheep that got taken advantage of by me and a lot of other people, because I had no idea what I was really selling at that particular time.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the cool thing is, like, I know, and I've been raised up in the culture of more meetings, more money. More meetings you go to, the more money you're going to make. However, I think for you, the power, and for anybody that's listening to this that's not getting the current results that they want to get, like when you're getting sold the dream, you can live in your potential and not just your current results. And when you're with the more meetings, more money, that I think, because a lot of people look at the insurance or the MLM or network marketing space and they try to go off the statistics of, well, not very many people make much money. There's a high failure rate. Well, first off, I could talk about failure rates all day long on every different business model out there. I mean, like the E-Myth, right? There's a book called E-Myth, and 80% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years. And of those 80%, another 80% fails the next 5 years. So literally like 4 out of 100 businesses are still running 10 years later. Now the only exception is the franchise model, right? Which is the model you're talking about. That's a 75% success rate. And so, and why is that? Because they have men.
Last time I looked it up, it's over 80%. I've met Michael Gerber. He's a funny dude. He cusses like a sailor, by the way, bro. But Michael Gerber, who authors that book, he got real factual inside of that book, and his anomaly was McDonald's. So that's a great book.
Yeah, man. I mean, but my point is they have a proven system, they have a proven model. So do you, so does MLM, so does network marketing. And the risk is not that much, especially if a lot of people, and I'm not a CPA, I can't go into it, but the tax benefits of having a home-based business are incredible for everybody. I think they should be doing it anyways. And we can chat about that. I want to chat about some life insurance stuff with you here in a second. But my point is people underestimate the value of someone like you who gets started 1 year into the business and the person that you've become. And now you can track the level of success that you're having in your life in not just one area, but it flows over into all the different areas of your life. And so if people would just not quit and they would just be willing to play the game and show up and go through the journey of winning, which is, maybe not making money for a season of your life. And I told Ian this the other day, who sold his insurance company for a multiple 8-figure exit, is that they either have the influence when they first get started and they can make money quickly, or they don't have the influence and they got to grow the influence. But either way, they can still win. They just can't give up. They got to keep showing up and keep growing themselves. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm the latter of that. Obviously, I didn't have a lot of credibility with my market. I mean, I had made a decent amount of, I would call myself very average, but I don't believe I'm average anymore. And I think the primary reason behind that, I text Milet about a week ago. I'm always salt and peppering him and telling him thank you and I appreciate you. And, he calls me Sexy Mex. So he says, Sexy Mex, love you, brother. He's always shooting me a text message back. He's, I think I hurt his feelings when I left the company, unfortunately. And I'm always going to be grateful for him and what he had done for me. But that's where mentors come into your life as well. I mean, all the mentors that you go through and the people that we reference, I'm sitting here taking notes from you, bro. I've written 3 different things down from you because I'm a student of the game. I'm never going to think that I know it all. Once you think you know it all, that's when you got to go back to the drawing board and learn it all again. So I do believe that anybody can do it. I mean, everybody would love what you have. A lot of people, average people, would love what I have. They're just not willing to do what we've done. So, well, I want the cars and I want the money and I want the fame and I want the how articulate this person is in the messaging. Okay, well, go to a meeting twice a week for 8.5 years, eat cup of noodles the first 2 years. Think about quitting every single day, twice a day, get bashed by your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, all the people that love you or you thought loved you. And then at the end of the rainbow, you're going to start to really get some successes and wins. And then my dad's in the conference room right here at my office that I pay the lease on. I employ him now. And it's not to say that's a bad thing or I'm trying to make fun of him, but that was the same dude when I was walking out of the house. I was renting a room from him. And he was saying, "Oh, Mr. Millionaire, where you going, Mr. Millionaire?" Making fun of me. And now, like you said, hindsight's real 2020. What's up now? What's up now? I thought you were talking some crap. What's up now? So now we get that, we can get our bird chest out. We can start kind of really starting to chit chat with some people because of what we had learned, but we would have never had that opportunity if the opportunity was never given to us. So I'm with that, bro. Absolutely 110% agree with you.
Man, I love that. I love that, man. That's why you're going to continue to win in life in every area, man. It's just you don't come to the table with ego because you are winning at a very high level. And you just said, like, you're a little bit above average, dude. You're way above average, first off.
Thank you, bro.
But that's a really cool story. That knocks people out of the box. And I tell my leaders all the time that the definition of a leader is not a pen or a title. It's really what knocks him or her out of the box, or if what doesn't knock him or her out of the box, right? And so it's that ability to be able to grow that thick skin like you did. And I love that, man. I love that you freaking overcame literally your dad making fun of you and friends and family. And I think that's a journey for everybody. I didn't have my family talking bad, but I had some friends talking trash. And so that guys like us, though, that fuels us, doesn't it? It's like, all right.
Oh, watch. Man. Hell yeah. I'm like, I volunteered now. You just pissed me off.
It's like, all right, dude, game on. I ain't quitting now. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, and then we're going to transition. I got a couple more questions for you, and then we're going to transition. First off, talking about people, like you left the company. I have a saying, bless and release, man. Like if I mentor somebody, I feel like it's okay if they want to go off and do something else and flourish in other areas. But I feel like if they don't flourish in another area, I failed, even though they left. I still want to see them dominating in whatever that space is, because I feel like I'm in the people building business. Even though I'm in a network marketing company, I feel like I'm in a people building business, and I'm going to build people. And if they choose to stay, great. If they don't, I hope that they go off and they better freaking dominate and win, or I failed in my leadership capabilities. Is that how you run your organization?
Love that. I don't think I did previously, being transparent with you. The first, when I was in World Financial Group, I was more like, I read all of the books that they had told me to read, but if I felt like my association wasn't that of which it was growing. Like, I felt like the same company that set me free was the same company that was kind of holding me back. And I was more like fear and scarcity in that business because we had such high turnover. I mean, I'd say the attrition was probably north of 95%. And that's just horrible numbers. And when I left and I did like individual financial planning, which I did that for about 3-4 years. And then I started building again just recently and got a franchise option. Man, we probably hold on to more than 60, maybe even 70% last time I looked. Of the people that would get involved into business with us. And I ask myself all the time, why is that? Was it the stigma of the company previously, or was it the S curve that it was already through that S curve? I don't know. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but now I am absolutely on that tip. I love what you said, bless and release. I wrote that down, by the way. So I love what you said because, dude, I've told people in my own organization, get a job. This is not for you, bro. This is not for you. Look, we'll set up a savings plan for you. We'll set up an insurance plan for you. your family's most important, and you're just struggling to the degree that I just do not believe you will win. The reason why is because you have a bad mindset, you have bad working habits, and if you are working 60 and 70 hours a week, I'd say you're going to eventually make it. But the fact that you're not, get a job. Just do your own thing, but get a job, man. And I'm real about it when it comes to building people now, because I don't just have them at my fingertips. I have their whole family in my mind. So I got to tell them something that is, again, gonna be right by them. So I'm with it.
I love it. I mean, I think that the insurance industry, network marketing, like all of it isn't the problem. People are the problem. And even if you have a normal traditional business, HR is always a challenge. Recruiting is always a challenge, and retention. And so, people like crazy, dude. I'm trying to find a babysitter right now for my daughters. And the way the current economy is, you have all these people that show interest, and then right before we've had probably 10 cancel. It's not babysitting is not the problem. It's people are the problem, And so it's just, I love that you're qualifying more people at a better standard probably than what probably you were previously, if I had to guess, in your current business. Would you say that there's a better qualification standard there now?
Without a doubt. I had this conversation with my buddy the other day. He's like, bro, I really feel like people are just more ambitious now. And I said, no, I don't think so. I said, that's why so many politicians, they run data. It's all based on data, and they run these questionnaires, right? Because the data shows that it's not that we're definitely not making more money. There's definitely not more going on. It's just that our associations, like you, bro, immediately I gravitated to you. Why is that? Because we have the same energy. We have the same go, if you will. We have the same future. Whereas, and I was telling my buddy this, I said, that's the reason why you believe that most people are more ambitious now, is because your association just got better. It's not that most people, it's that you are the people that you are setting the standard and people are soaking it up. So he kind of took a step back and he was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I said it before and I'll say it again. It's not that they can't do it. They're just not willing to do the work. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. And I'm going to have to turn my camera off, turn it back on here in a second for whatever reason. It looks like it's like blinking, but I'll let you just keep on. I'll let you keep on rolling. I'm going to ask you a question. So, you talked about earlier that it's a cult, right? Like it's a cult mentality. Here's the crazy thing. And as you probably know now, right? Like as you've been building your business, everything's a cult, right? Like Apple is a cult. The military, dude, I was in the military. That is a cult. They have what is called, it's their own culture, right? And so I don't really look at it, if I had the ability like you did to join Ed Milet in a cult, in a leadership culture, in a personal growth culture, in a compensation plan with a personal development program attached to it, dude, I'm all in. I mean, right now, in order to join his Arete, you got to pay money and get mentorship from him. Yep. That's like, okay, back then, if you get personal mentorship from somebody like you or him, and you got to spend a few $100s to get involved, to get licensed or to get into a business opportunity, like that's crazy why people think that even if they don't make money, how there's not massive opportunity there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, because you run seminars for your team, don't you? Don't you have like trainings probably monthly or quarterly or something? Because I know, Calvin, you guys just did a training like last month.
Yeah, we do 4 events, but soon to be 4 events a year. My next event is a summer sizzler. Then there's a Christmas party, but we normally do a kickoff meeting at the beginning of the year. Everybody is invited. And we're not really looking for any outcome with that. We're really just looking for to help people. I mean, realistically, entrepreneurs need other entrepreneurs to springboard their careers as well. So that's the beginning of the year event. The Summer Sizzler is more like a client appreciation night where we invite all of our older and newer clients with their families. Recently, last year, we had it at a park. We had volleyball. We had a clown, did face painting, a jumper, all that good stuff. So it's kind of cool. And then our end of the year event, which is a Christmas party, we throw that every year, early December. just kind of like a celebration of the year. And again, I invite everybody. I flip the bill for it. I think it's awesome. I think having more people versus less people is a lot better. And then we give out awards and things like that. But, we run we run 3 meetings a week here at the Financial Architects. We do a Monday morning full timers, like clockwork. Everybody's got to have a reset meeting. If they're not going into their week with what did I do the previous week, or kind of like taking score, then they're never going to accomplish the goals and dreams that they set out to accomplish. Or not never, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. Then we do a Tuesday night meeting, and this is more like kneecap to kneecap. It's casual. Our business partners get together on how to present case studies, like why one policy was toxic for the client and what they should have made a different recommendation on with them for. And then Friday morning is our broker and franchisee morning meeting, where we all cuddle up and get together and talk about some challenges that the company might be having. So if my office in Covina is having a gossiper in there, I'm giving coaching on how to overcome that objection or how to overcome that situation. If my Claremont office needs more clients, and they only did 3 clients this month, then I'm going through, okay, why? Let's go through the 5-step sales process and see where you're lacking in that. So I believe in more meetings. You said, again, dude, I wrote this down, more meetings, more money. I agree, bro. Until you got your own meetings going on, then you need to attend some.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I love that. I love that you're protecting your. Jim Rohn said, "Nurture it like a mother, or protect it like a father." And you're protecting your culture, and because one negative seed of doubt and they're out. And if you start to have people gossiping and they allow it in leadership, you get what you allow, and you're not allowing that type of culture in your organization. And I love that. Neither do I. I remember we had some negative, like literally almost 7-figure earners, and I removed them from our group. It took a while with a lot of different conversations to do it, but they just wouldn't change, and they were hurting people in their group. And so I said, all right, you're out. And I think people forget. They think that they made the system until they get out of the system, and then they realize how hard it is because the system doesn't nurture them anymore.
Yep, 100%. Milet used to say that too. He had this was back when CDs were popping, but he had something called How to Build a Big Bass Shop. And on the CD, it talks about negativity, that your meeting has to be like a mecca of positivity. It has to be like, hey man, how many appointments did you do? How many pieces of business did you write? That's awesome. You're doing great. And once you get that negative person in the environment, they're more a hindrance than they are a help. You'd say, I get them in my office. I say, hey, I'm going to have one conversation with you. We don't need any negative, dull, disillusioned crybabies in our meeting rooms. We're positive. We're going someplace. And he goes, you got to give him a checkup from the neck up, man. I still remember listening to these CDs by Milet, thinking to myself, damn, dude, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's true though, because if you don't cut the head off the dragon while it's a baby, it'll grow up into an adult and breathe fire all over your people. Mm-hmm. And and then you have to clean up a lot more of a mess if you would just get it right away in the beginning. But I think a lot of people, they're just afraid of confrontation. From what I've seen is like, 1, they don't know how to coach people. 2, they're just afraid of actual having confrontation. And people have to remember, yeah, you're in the financial industry, but once you start to build a team, dude, like you are a team leader, and you have to make sure that you're protecting the culture of your organization.
Yep. It's a big responsibility.
100%, man. And by the way, we breeze so fast. We've just been moving that I forgot to ask you the main question that I usually ask in the beginning. What is winning to Manny?
Well, I mean, again, I used to think of winning as totally business driven. It was my one-track mind driven mindset at that time. Now I'm more like, what does the end look like? What do I want to be when I grow up, so to say? I'm grown, I know. But what do I want to accomplish during that course? Because I think initially, Tony Robbins talks about 6 needs. And my initial need was significance. I needed significance. So I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be up in the crowd like number 1. I want to always win the trophies. And now I find myself more contribution. I find myself more like, well, I noticed in the meeting, John didn't have his work face on. I noticed in the meeting that Erica was kind of down. She wasn't like paying attention like she normally is. So now I'm assessing my people and thinking to myself, how am I making them better? And how can I create better inside of their lives? Now, obviously, my primary is like my own family. I share with my son, he was in the Navy, now he's out, right? So now he's going and taking his test. And I didn't ask him to. I didn't like go, hey, man, you should do this. Nothing like that. He's now attending, and now he's starting to grow. And it makes me feel great because I think he bought his own car. He didn't ask me for no money. He didn't, he asked my dad to go and help him because my dad's from the car business. But the kid is like he's his own identity. And I love that. And I love to see that. Because now it gives me confidence that I did a decent job in raising the kid, even though his mom and I didn't work it out. It's just still, I want to have great kids and I want to foster independence. I don't want to just give them everything and then go, oh man, dad gave you all the money and stuff. That's not cool. But that's my primary focus. Winning to me is helping other people get to the state that they like to be. That's ultimately our responsibility as leaders. We can't just go through life and be all about me, me, me. It's got to be like, let me pull this dude up. Let me pull that guy up. Let me, and the right person is going to take that hand out and go, man, now that Manny did something like this, now I can see myself doing that. And that's really going to create a better society of people is if we're constantly like helping each other out. Imagine where we would be in the next 10 and 20, maybe 50 and 100 years. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. So true. So tell me then, so obviously you're, like I said earlier, you got a 25-year-old, 23-year-old, 14-year-old. I have two under two and two girls, by the way. So what advice would you have for me or anybody listening? But I'm specifically being selfish and asking for me. What advice do you have for me to grow two powerful queens, independent women who don't care about people's opinions in life? They only care about their own opinion, So like, give me some advice.
Shit, man. My 14-year little girl, she's normally very like soft spoken. I don't know if you've seen her on the gram, but she's really like low key. She doesn't like attention. She's like, whatever you want, Dad, and now she's starting to come out of her shell, bro. How old are your daughters?
One's a little over 2 and one's like 2 months.
Oh, wow, bro. How awesome is that? So my 14-year-old now, she's starting to come out of her shell a little bit. So she's like, she loves shoes like I do. And I took her to Victoria Gardens the other day, and I'm getting emotional just talking about it because I love my daughters so much, and it was just her and I. So we went shopping, and she's not like one of these girls that like, I want that, and I want to get this, and I want to get that. Like they didn't have the shoes that she liked, and she's like, no, that's cool, Dad. Let's just go eat, and then we ate. And then while we're walking back to the car, she's like, thanks for spending time with me, Dad. And it got me, bro. It gave me like a little rock in my throat. And I started hugging my dog. I was like, yeah, man, we could start hanging out a lot more. And, she FaceTimed me yesterday and it just got me emotional because I thought, man, here's this little person that looks at you like you are the person to them, right? And I think that when I was younger, I don't think that I thought of it as such a big deal, where now I'm like, man, that is so massive. Like, so different things. Like when I come home, one time I told her, take Dad's shoes off, and she's real coachable. She's taking off the shoes. And I thought to myself, I read a book on parenting and it said, your daughter's going to do exactly what they're going to be and attract exactly who you are. So I was like, no, I got it. I took off my shoes right away. And I was like, no, you want something? I'm like totally like hand and foot, right? And now the biggest and best advice that I'd give you, bro, is just to spend a lot more time with them. So now that I'm around her a lot, because she's homeschooled. So now that I'm around her pretty often, I try and spend as much time with her, but I try and teach her something during that process. Like she's read a couple books that I've asked her to read. Pretty soon she's going door knocking. I got to put that on her plate. Sorry to say, but I wanted to earn it. I wanted to earn it. My two boys, they went door knocking. That was what I wanted them to do. And they had a little script. They earned some money. They were earning like $35 an hour, bro, under the table. So it gives them like an enlightening. It enlightens them in the brain. It makes them do something that's uncomfortable, so that they know that life is not just all rainbows and roses. That's probably the number one thing that I would recommend. I mean, shoot, dude, I don't have to give you coaching. I mean, I know that you got your stuff going on over there, so I'd probably ask you for some coaching too when your kids are about 14. I'll be like, damn, man, so what did you do, so I could learn from it, you know?
No, man, I think there's stuff to learn from everybody, man. You know, that's one reason why, because when I was in the SEAL teams, we were going like 300 days out of the year, and so I remember just thinking, like, man, once I have kids, you know, I want to be that dad that can actually spend quality time with their kids and not have to go to a job or have to be traveling for corporate America when I get out. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And then, you know, fortune came my way when God handed me, my opinion, one of the best industries to where you can build a residual cash flow to where you can have time and money. You can actually enjoy life. Like, we just got back from a 2-week trip to Europe. You know, like, we're going back to Europe in June. We're going to take we take the girls with us because we want them to experience all that. And yeah, you know, they're young, but the photos are still going to be the photos and the memories are still going to be the memories, you know? So, you know, and I love the fact that you make your kids go door knock, because you're teaching them how to communicate and how to do sales, you know, and one, I think that is a part of love, is teaching your kids through a little bit of hard knock love, right? And making them earn certain things and creating them a money mindset and a wealth mindset, and not just giving things to them. That's what so many parents fail on, but you're actually making them earn it, man. So I love that you do that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop that either. I'm gonna go ham on that one.
Yeah. And that story touched me, man, with your daughter. So yeah. So let's transition, dude. So all right. I want to talk about insurance. You seen this book before?
No, what is it?
Just what would the Rockefellers do? It's about basically living off your insurance.
Oh yeah.
So
it's blurry on your end, bro. The camera's blurry on your end. That's why.
Oh, is it? It's weird because it looks good. You know, the crazy thing is, every time I do a podcast, it's blurry or you're blurry, and then it comes back. It's always back and forth. But then once it's done, it looks great. I don't know if it's just, I don't know. Must just be the software. But yeah, I get it. You're trying to read the book. So tell me about life insurance, what you guys do, how can you help? How can the average person, because there's a lot of skepticism around life insurance, right? So tell me, like, let's remove some of the, you know, the misperceptions of the industry, maybe what makes you different, and how can they and why should they get a policy?
There's several reasons for life insurance, and I think that life insurance gets a bad rap because there's bad salespeople. Let's just keep it real. I'll give you an example, like whole life, for example. Let me backtrack a little bit. So there's term insurance, and then there's permanent insurance. There's only two real insurance policies. Term is like renting. Permanent is like buying. Term, you got to hand that insurance policy back to the owner at some point in time, or pay a higher premium. Permanent, you're owning it. You build intrinsic value, it's building equity, et cetera, et cetera. So if we had to give that analogy to a realtor would take it and run with it. They'd go, okay, I'd rather own. All right, well, can you afford it? Do you have the right credit? Do you have the right down payment? Do you have the right long-term thinking? It's the same thing with permanent insurance, but you can get screwed along the way. Bad salespeople. So let's say I get a permanent insurance policy. There's whole life. There's traditional UL. There's index UL. There's variable UL. There's a bunch of different options. So the salesperson normally puts you into the policy that they think is best. And unfortunately, the consumer, it is buyer beware. So when I initially started, my upline and everyone in the company thought variable universal life was the thing to get. I mean, for 2 years, I never wrote one term policy. And I got to be honest with you, that was wrong. I should have wrote a lot more term policies. Maybe a permanent insurance blend with a term insurance policy. And me knowing what I know now, variable life isn't for everybody, but it's right for the particular person that might take it and run with it. Whole life, great chassis to run off of. You have a guaranteed income or guaranteed interest rate within the insurance policy. If you gave me a choice to get 0 at my local bank in my checking account, or to get 5.25% with a 1% dividend historically, I would take the 6.25% any day of the week. Now, if a client believes in buying term insurance and investing the difference in a Roth, if they qualify, or a mutual fund or an IRA, that's fine. But again, it has to deal with the salesperson and the recommendation that they make. So what sets us apart at the Financial Architects, TFA, is we're menu sellers. This is how I've coached my teammates on doing the menu sale. They're basically just educators, teachers. They go out and they go, we got term, we got permanent. Which of the two would best interest you? And they go, well, give me both. They give them a quote on term, they give them a quote on permanent, and they say, well, what kind of investor are you, etc.? Are you looking for a retirement plan as well? They're taught about all these different fundamental questions inside of financial planning. And dependent on the consumer says, I'll take a term or I'll take a permanent, or I have a budget of $300, but I'm 40 years old and I need $1 million. Then it's up to the agent to suggest, okay, you need an $800,000 term policy then, and let's get you a $200,000 permanent plan. That's what is correct and proper for the consumer. But if the agent is totally thinking to themselves about commission, they're about to take that client for a heavy ride. Or if the agent only sells term insurance, doesn't sell anything else, they're about to give the client a limited amount of menu space based on the product that they only provide to people. So the insurance world does get a bad name, bad rap, but again, it's totally because of the organization and the salespeople that are driving the insurance plans. So that's the 3-minute version, bro. If you want to know all of it, I mean, damn, dude, I could be talking for ages on this subject.
Yeah. No, well, I think that if anybody else wants to know more, they should contact you. And we're going to give them access to do that at the end of this as well. And obviously,
I have a YouTube that discusses all of it. So the YouTube channel that we have, the Financial Architects, I literally go through all of that in a 13-minute YouTube. It's not for views, obviously, because I'd have made it, 30 seconds. But it's really for content. It's for a regular person, mom and dad, to look at the insurance and say, okay, I need to make an educated decision. Let me look at this video. And now they have a lot of questions that they might have had. It arms them with a lot more benefit when searching for that plan. Because the fees will kill you in a permanent policy. If you get the wrong policy and the wrong agent and you're putting in a ton of money, you're about to get taken advantage of if you don't have the right questions behind you in your back pocket.
Okay, so 2 things. One, send me that video and I'll put it in the link on all the different channels that I'm going to release this on. And then 2 is, how do they know? Like who can they reach out to be able to look at their policy and say, is this a good policy or is this a bad policy? Like, could they just bring that to you and you can say, hey dude, here's the tripwires. Like, maybe you should do this or that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, keep in mind, it's a sale. So I've probably had, it's on our Yelp too. We have a great Yelp. I have multiple people that came in with their insurance policies and I've told them, this is a good policy. You should keep it. They leave like in shock, like they're ready to write me a check. But I'm like, you should keep this policy. It's a good one, And they're very few and far between, of course. But that's what we normally go based on is, hey, give me your policy. I'll tell you exactly what you have. So let's say you're paying $1,000 a month into a whole life policy. I'm going to try and figure out what the internal fees are and then how much excess is going towards your account. The same would apply for your index life plan. So if you're putting $1,000 into an index life policy and your fees are $450, that means that $550 is going towards your investment, your index. That seems really high. And those fees are going to continually go up. So I would challenge that policy, get you a cheaper one. Let's say it costs you $180 a month, and then you're putting $820 into the index. That's a better blend. Now you're making more money, and you have a hell of a lot more play 20 and 30 years from now. You're going to have a lot more cash value inside of it.
So then how can somebody live? Because, people talk about, hey, get a trust, and then have the insurance inside of the trust and all that. But the problem is if you break the corporate veil, which, there's a lot of, I guess, non-disciplined individuals who probably would break the corporate veil, then it removes it, right? So the trust costs money, like the insurance costs money, and then there's a break-even period typically in the insurance, right? Doesn't it take like typically 7 to 10 years before it actually breaks even, or how does that work?
Normally, the arbitrage years are right around 6 and 7 years. Normally, again, totally dependent on the agent that's designing the plan for you. But it also matters if the client's out of whack on their health. So let's say they have diabetes type 2 and their A1C is at 7.6. They're not getting a preferred rating. They're getting more of a standard non-tobacco rating. What if they smoke? Then the arbitrage year is more like year 14 or 15. So I would challenge the thinking of somebody getting a big permanent policy in that scenario. But corporate veils recently, by the way, have been broken. So if I get a corporation and I can have my personal assets separated from my business assets, there's attorneys fresh out of college going, okay, well, who owns the corporation? Oh, well, I do. Okay, so you own all of the belongings inside of this. So to overcome that, they create ICTs, irrevocable complex trusts. I love on these TikToks and these Instagrams, so many different TikTokers or Instagram reelers, they talk about, this is what the wealthy do. Really? Do you have wealthy clients? Like, I got a lot of wealthy clients. That's not what they do. You know what I mean? Like, you want to wring their neck. Like, dude, stop. So the Rockefellers were worth billions. I mean, so the same plan that they design is not going to be the same plan that Bob and Mary Smith, who Bob works at Pet Boys and Mary's a stay-at-home mom, that's not going to be right for them. I would challenge that thinking, and I would get them a cheap term policy and invest the difference in a Roth or some type of supplemental stock portfolio, because they're not making that much money. Why would you kill them on a $200 a month IUL when they should have got a $60 a month term policy with more life insurance inside of that? So those are multiple examples. So yeah, there is something called an ILIT that's popular for people that have a net worth north of $10 million and $11 million. The ILIT stands for Individual Life Insurance Trust. And yeah, it is separating their life insurance from their estate. So if I have an estate of $20 million and my estate tax, let's round it to 11 million, that means that I'm paying an estate tax on 9 million, or my kids are, and it has to be paid within 9 months. So if I add a $5 million life insurance policy to my estate, now I'm worth 25 million. My estate's worth 25 million. That's where you should take the 5 million, separate it from your estate, and that is its own entity. It's an ILIT. So that's why they create these different buckets. So you have multiple trusts inside of the design of the estate so that it avoids paying a lot more taxes at your demise.
So is that the only time it really makes sense? Is for an ILIT or for some sort of trust, I guess you could say, is 10 million or more in assets?
Currently, but I mean, dude, the way that things are going, it looks like they're going to, historically speaking, the government doesn't take from the living, they take from the dead. So if I'm worth $100 million and I meet my maker and my son inherits $100 million, I think he's going to be okay if he gets 60 of it. So the government ends up grabbing 40 and says, thank you very much. We can continue to socialize some programs based on me eye gouging your family's estate for the wealth. But I mean, dude, it could go like, let's say I'm single and I have an estate tax worry. If my estate is lower than 5.4 million, I don't have to worry about that. I get a living trust. It bypasses probate. My kids inherit everything. No harm, no foul. But let's say I'm worth 10 million. 10 million minus 5.4 is 4.6 million. My kids are going to pay roughly 33% in estate taxes on that 4.6 million. So what hedges estate taxes besides doing other sideways things? A life insurance policy. So if they get a life insurance policy for 1.2 million, now they pay off the estate tax and the government's not going after them for their estate tax. It's also known as inheritance tax. But, to each their own. Every family is different, and to each their own on the future. So let's say I'm married and I'm 49 years old. Do I think my estate is going to be worth $20 million by the time I'm 85? That's an absolute yes. So now I have to start making certain plans now that I'm younger, so that in the future when I'm older and I've got all this wealth, I don't want my kids to be a victim of the IRS and unfortunately my foresight of being a good investor or a good business person. I don't think that that's right. I want to mold my kids into people that can inherit the money and then build a legacy of wealth versus not. Because you know as well as I do, in order for you to coach and train other people, they naturally look at your bank account. They look at your assets and they go, is this person a partial amount of success is wealth driven? And if I could help my kids to do so and create a better world, again, that's a win. That's why I love the name, Journey to Win.
Yeah, man. I love it. I hope that they do that. I hope they audit who they're actually taking financial advice from. Unfortunately, today in social media, everybody follows somebody who looks pretty, who might just be an actor or whatever. And they think that this, like the average person in the NBA is living paycheck to paycheck. It's like, you're going to listen to this person living paycheck to paycheck who doesn't have a money mindset, who's still making more money but spending more money. Like, come on, man. So, hey, Manny, thanks for your time, man. How can people find you? So obviously, we have your Instagram down here, but go ahead and tell them your Instagram, tell them all your social media, your website, anything like that.
So my Instagram handle is Money Business Manny. My website is tfawealthplanning.com. You can also reach me on YouTube, of course, The Financial Architects. We post like tutorial videos and things of that nature. But we should be in an office in a city near you because we're expanding pretty aggressively right now. The franchise model is really taking off.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thanks for your time. Hey, I'm coming out to California this weekend, so maybe we'll get to hang out. Come out to Newport Beach.
There it is, bro. We are for sure.
All right. Hey, so stay on because it has to upload first. But appreciate you, man. And thanks for your time again. It's really, really, everything that you said today was so spot on, and you just poured into everybody. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'll definitely be sharing this as well. I think that the title of the podcast is awesome, dude. Super awesome. And anybody that's looking for like not a life raft, but really a hand up on success, I think that's awesome that you have all these great speakers coming on here so that people can gravitate to one, if not all of them, and make better decisions in the future.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man.
For sure.
I'm gonna stop this